Welcome to the Beyond You podcast, where we have real conversations about healing, trusting yourself again, and building the kind of relationships that actually feel good. I'm Samantha, and if you've ever felt like you're just going through the motions, like you're doing all the right things but still feeling disconnected, you're in the right place. Because here we go beyond the surface, beyond the hurt, beyond the patterns that keep you stuck. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Can I tell you something that's been keeping me up at night? So I'm in a season of my life where everything feels uncertain. My work is evolving in ways I didn't plan. My relationships are shifting. Even my daily routines feel different. And my control-loving, plan everything in advance brain is having a full-on meltdown. I talked a little bit about this in my shorter episode where I talked about just learning to trust the unknown. But I'm learning some more as I kind of go deeper into it. And I wanted to share with you today. Sometimes the unknown isn't something to survive. Sometimes it's just something to surrender to. Sometimes the scariest thing is also the most necessary thing. So if you're in a season where nothing feels certain, where you can't see the next step clearly, where trusting the process feels impossible, but staying stuck feels worse, this conversation is for you. I'm Samantha. This is Beyond You podcast, and today we're getting real about what it means to trust the unknown when your whole nervous system is screaming for certainty. Because I need to tell you about this moment that happened about just a while ago, about 6 months or so ago, that completely shifted on how I think about uncertainty. I was having what I thought was the worst week of my life. A business opportunity I'd been counting on fell through. A relationship I thought was heading somewhere serious ended suddenly. Even small things were going wrong. Just my car, my computer crashed. I got food poisoning from my favorite restaurant. I remember sitting on my bathroom floor at 2 a.m. having what can only be described as an existential crisis. And I felt in that moment thinking, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what's next. I don't know if any of the choices I'm making are right. My whole identity was wrapped up in having it together and being the person who had plans and goals and clear next steps. But suddenly, I was floating in this space where nothing was certain and I had no roadmap for what came next. The old me would have immediately started making frantic plans, forcing decisions, trying to control outcomes, just to feel like I had some power over my life. But something in me was just too exhausted to fight the uncertainty this time. I just sat there and thought, what if I don't know what's next? What if that's okay? That question cracked something open in me. Because for the first time in my adult life, I was trying to figure it all out. I wasn't making backup plans for my backup plans. I was just being in the not knowing. And you know what happened? Within a few weeks, opportunities started showing up that I could never have planned for. Connections were made that I couldn't have orchestrated. Doors opened that I didn't even know existed. Not because I finally figured out the secret to controlling my life, but because I stopped gripping so tightly to how I thought things should go and created space for how things wanted to unfold. That bathroom floor moment taught me something profound. Sometimes the unknown isn't punishment for not having your life together. Sometimes it's an invitation to trust that there's a bigger picture that you can't see yet. So let's talk about why uncertainty feels so terrifying, because I think understanding this helps us work through the fear instead of being paralyzed by it. Our brains are prediction machines. They're constantly trying to forecast what's coming next so they can keep us safe. When we can't predict outcomes, when we don't know what's around the corner, our nervous system interprets that as danger. It's like our brain is saying, if I can't see the threat coming, how can I protect us from it? We've been taught that knowing equals not being prepared. From childhood, we're rewarded for having the right answers, for planning ahead, for being ready for whatever comes next. Not knowing becomes synonymous with failing, with being irresponsible, with not trying hard enough. Control feels like love. Many of us learned that if we could manage all the variables, predict all the outcomes, control all the factors, we could keep ourselves and the people we love safe from pain. So uncertainty feels like we're letting everyone down, including ourselves. The unknown reminds us of past trauma. If you've been through experiences where the unexpected meant danger, where sudden changes brought loss or pain, your nervous system is going to be hypervigilant about anything that feels unpredictable. And just for my women of color as well, you've had to be the strong ones. You've carried families and communities on your backs. Uncertainty can feel especially threatening for you. We're used to being the ones with the plan, the ones who figure it out, the ones who make it work somehow. Not knowing what's just coming next can feel like we're failing in our fundamental job of holding everything together. And in a culture that worships certainty, that sells us the illusion that we can't control outcomes if we just work hard enough, buy the right things, follow the right next steps, admitting that we don't know what's coming feels like just admitting defeat. But as time continued, well, I just want us to take away that the fear of the unknown isn't actually the unknown itself. It's about our stories about what the unknown means. It's about what we decided uncertainty says about us, our worth, our safety, our future. What if the unknown doesn't mean danger? What if it doesn't mean failure? What if it doesn't mean we're not good enough or smart enough or prepared enough? What if it just means we don't know yet? What if that's actually okay? Let's get real about the stories we create when we don't know what's coming next, because these stories often cause more suffering than actual uncertainty. If I don't know what's next, something bad is going to happen. But not knowing doesn't exactly equal something bad happening. Sometimes not knowing means something beautiful is being prepared that you couldn't have imagined. But a lot of times we go into that thinking uncertainty means it's kind of big bad wolf that's going to come and mess things up for us. And also what we do think is, if I can't control the situation, I'm powerless. But understand that there's a difference between being powerless and releasing the illusion of control. You always have power over how you respond, how you show up, and how you treat yourself in the midst of uncertainty. If I don't have a plan, I'm responsible. But some reasons and seasons of life require trust more than they require planning. Some growth happens in the space between what was and what will be. Next, we might say something like, if I can't see the path, I'm lost. But maybe you're not lost. Maybe you're in transition. Maybe you're being guided in ways that don't fit your old understanding of how things should unfold. Next, we might say something like, if I admit I don't know, people will think I'm weak. But acknowledging uncertainty takes courage. Pretending you have it all figured out when you don't is what actually looks weak. I had a conversation with a friend recently who said, I feel like everyone else has their life figured out. I'm just floating. And I looked at her and said, what if floating is exactly what you're supposed to be doing right now? What if this is your season of trust instead of your season of control? The stories we tell ourselves about uncertainty are often more painful than the uncertainty itself. So know when we can separate what's actually happening, I don't know what's next, from what we're making it mean. I'm failing, I'm danger, I'm not enough. We create space to respond from wisdom instead of that fear. So I thought, what best way to go into this than seeing on what trust actually looks like. So what does it actually mean to trust the unknown, right? Because people say it all the time, but what does it actually mean? Because I used to think trust meant having blind faith that everything just would work out perfectly. But understand that's not trust. A lot of times, I know it's hard to say, but that's magical thinking. The real trust is more nuanced and more practical than that, right? Trust means showing up for today without needing to know about tomorrow. Right? So we're just trying to reframe on how you look at it. So when saying that, it means doing the next right thing, even when you can't see how it fits into the bigger picture. It means being present with what's in front of you instead of constantly projecting into the future. Trust means honoring your feelings without being controlled by them. You can feel scared about the unknown and still take steps forward. You can acknowledge uncertainty without letting it paralyze you. And you can be nervous and brave at the same time. Like I say in a lot of my sessions, there is that nuance there. It doesn't have to be this or that. there is that both can be true. You can be nervous and brave at the same time. You can have fear and still move forward. Both can be true. Trust also means making decisions based on your values instead of your fears. When you don't know what's coming, you can still know you want to be in the midst of it. You can still choose kindness, authenticity, growth, love, regardless of what's happening around you. Also, trust means staying open to possibilities you haven't considered. Sometimes we're so focused on making our plan A work that we miss the beautiful opportunities that could only exist in the unknown. Trust means being willing to consider that there might be a better path than the one you originally mapped out. And let me give you some examples of what this looks like in real life, okay? Because a lot of times you just need those little examples to help bring it all together. So instead of staying in a job that's killing your spirit because it's predictable, trust might mean taking the leap into work that aligns with your values, even if the financial outcome isn't guaranteed. This can be something that means a lot to some people. If that doesn't fit you, I have more examples below, right? More examples I'm going to just be mentioning. So instead of settling for a relationship that feels safe but unfulfilling, trust might mean having the hard conversations or making the difficult choices that could lead to genuine love or healthy solitude. So also, instead of living the life everyone expects you to live, trust might mean exploring the dreams of interests that feel authentic to you, even if you can't see exactly where they'll lead. Trust doesn't mean everything will work out the way you want it to. Trust means you'll be able to handle whatever comes and that you'll grow through the challenges, that you'll find meaning and purpose in the difficult seasons. I know that for me, I'm learning that trust is less about believing in specific outcomes and more about believing in your own resilience, your own ability to adapt, your own capacity to create meaning and joy regardless of circumstances. Let's get practical because I know some of you are ready to start building this muscle, but you need a concrete steps. So what I want you to do is I want you to start with the small unknowns. Practice trusting uncertainty in low stakes situations, So take a different route to work without checking traffic first. Or I want you to go to a restaurant without reading all the reviews. I know, even I cringe when first starting to do this. I also, how about say yes to an invitation without knowing exactly who will be there? Build your comfort with not knowing in situations where the worst case scenario is manageable. So when starting off with this, I know that it would be new restaurants or new events that I would try to just kind of be working on being in the unknown. Even when it felt scary, I just allowed to be able to just take the fear with me. Also, what you can do is you can develop a morning practice that grounds you in a way, just grounds you in what you do know, right? So when the future feels uncertain, I want you to be able to anchor yourself in what's true right now, right? So say something like, I know I'm breathing. I know I'm loved. I know I've survived hard things before. I know I have choices today. Start your day by reconnecting with what feels solid. Next, you can also do something such as create what I call trust anchors, right? So these are reminders of times when uncertainty led to something good. Write down moments where you didn't know how things would work out, but they did. When plans fell through but led to better opportunities. When you were forced to trust and it served you. Keep those stories accessible when fear gets really loud and really big, where it feels like it's overtaking you. Next, I want you to practice the phrase, I don't know, and that's okay. Please, if you can do it right now, say it out loud. I don't know, and that's okay. Say it out loud until it stops feeling scary. I don't know what job I'll have next year, and that's okay. I don't know if this relationship will work out, and that's okay. I don't know how I'll figure this out, and that's okay. Get comfortable with not knowing. And when I tell you these things, know that I'm telling myself too, because of course we have to be okay with not knowing. So I don't know, and that's okay. Next, I want you to focus on your response instead of controlling outcomes. When you catch yourself trying to predict or control what's coming, redirect your energy toward how you want to show up. Instead of, how could I make sure this works out? Ask, how do I want to handle whatever comes? Right? And if this resonates with you, make sure to let me know down below. Make sure to follow and save this for yourself, because I know when I get to unknown spaces, this is something I tend to go to. Next, I want you to be able to build a support system that can handle uncertainty. Surround yourself with people who won't pressure you to have all the answers. If you don't have that, people, you can always come back to this episode. Just being able to hear it from somebody else makes a difference. But what I want you to do is just be around people who can sit with you in the not knowing, who can remind you that uncertainty doesn't equal danger. Next, I know this is something that's cliche, but this definitely works. Practice gratitude for what uncertainty has brought you. Think about the best things in your life, the relationships, opportunities, experiences that matter most to you. How many of them came through unexpected paths? How many emerged from periods of not knowing what was next? Okay, I'm just giving you all these different things that you can use. If you only just choose one, this episode has done what it needed to do, right? I have just a couple more I want to let you know, and then we'll kind of get to the next steps. So develop rituals that help you surrender control. This might mean meditation, prayer, journaling, walking in nature, any practice that leads you to remember you're part of something bigger than your individual ability to manage outcomes. Okay. And then lastly, what I want you to do, I want you to see if you can be able to set intentions instead of just goals. Goals are very specific outcomes you want to achieve, but intentions are ways you want to be and show up regardless of what happens. I intend to approach this transition with curiosity instead of fear. I intend to stay open to unexpected possibilities. I intend to trust my ability to handle whatever comes. When I feel overwhelmed by uncertainty now, I do this thing where I put my hand on my heart and say, I don't know what's coming, but I trust my ability to meet it. So do this with me now. If you can, put your hand on your heart and be able to repeat after me. I don't know what's coming, but I trust my ability to meet it. It sounds simple, but it shifts something in just my own nervous system. It reminds me that I don't have to know the future to trust myself with it. So I understand, and I hope just kind of being able to listen to this episode, you have more and practical tools to be able to help you during all that's going on right now. And no, I get it. Like if you're in survival mode right now, your job isn't to trust some grand cosmic plan, right? Your job is to be gentle with yourself, to get the support you need, and to trust that you have the strength you haven't had to access yet, right? But what I'm learning about faith versus control, I think this is really big when talking about the unknown piece, because I've been navigating my own season of uncertainty. I've been thinking a lot about the difference between faith and control, because I used to confuse the two. I thought faith meant believing that everything would work out the way I wanted it to. I thought faith meant having confidence that my plans would succeed. I thought faith meant never feeling scared or uncertain. But that's not faith. That's just control dressed up in just some spiritual language, right? Real faith, I'm learning, is more like this. I don't know what's coming, but I trust that I'll be able to meet it. I can't control outcomes, but I can trust in my ability to adapt and grow and find meaning regardless of what happens. I can't see the whole path, but I can trust that taking the next step will reveal the step after that. Faith isn't the absence of fear. Faith is feeling the fear and choosing to move forward anyway. Faith isn't knowing how things will work out. Faith is believing that you'll be able to handle whatever comes. And sometimes faith is as simple as believing that today matters, that your choices today have value, even if you can't see how they fit into some larger plan. Sometimes faith is trusting that growth and healing and love are possible even in the midst of uncertainty. I'm still learning this though. I still have moments where I want to grip the steering wheel of my life and force everything to go according to my timeline. But I'm also realizing and discovering that there's relief in admitting I don't have that kind of control. There's peace in trusting something larger than my individual ability to manage outcomes. So, if you're in a season of uncertainty right now, I want you to know that you're not alone in feeling scared about knowing what's next. The unknown can be terrifying, especially when you're used to having a plan and backup plans and feeling prepared for what's coming. But what if the unknown isn't your enemy? What if it's not just punishment for not having your life figured out? What if it's actually an invitation to trust yourself more deeply, to stay open to possibilities you couldn't have imagined, to discover strength and resilience you didn't know you had? You don't have to be at peace with uncertainty to navigate it. You don't have to feel confident about the future to take steps forward. You can be scared and brave at the same time. You can trust the unknown even when it's scary. But before I go, I want you to try something this week. When you catch yourself trying to control outcomes you can't control, try asking this question instead. How do I want to show up in this situation, regardless of how it turns out? Your presence, your values, your choices today, those are things you have influence over. And sometimes focusing on those instead of trying to predict or control the future, it's exactly the shift that creates space for beautiful, unexpected experiences and possibilities. So if this episode helped you feel a little less alone in your uncertainty, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And remember, you don't have to know what's coming next to trust that you can handle it when it arrives. Know that you can find me on TikTok at Moving Beyond You or on Instagram at IamSamantha.a, where I give little bits and pieces in videos to be able to help through this process, or just follow me on YouTube here on YouTube Shorts or on Spotify, everywhere you find podcasts. I'm trusting the unknown right alongside you, and I'll talk to you next week.